want to know. You're asking me, sure. I'm worried about number 7. Number 7, let me pull your. What's she saying? Let me pull your. This would be back tinsel, right? Huh? Tinsel? Yes. Our standards. Oh, let's not talk about it. Okay, I know that. Judgment. Oh my God. No, but we don't need it. What else is for in here? Nothing. Okay. Going swimmingly. Oh. What does that word mean? I would imagine. I wonder if that's that. I like it. Good for you, though. Swimmingly. I like that. I've heard it from here. Yeah. Or from Oregon. Yeah. What does that explain? Yeah, I'm from Oregon. We know all of that's Oregon. We had run into Oregon today. I know. We had a whole hearing about it. Yesterday. So, do you know about Cruise Bay? Quite so interesting, but I didn't want to be. We had a case manager on our trial. Right. There's I know. Oh, now I've talked to him a few times. So there's so there's the famous Mormon in the corner of Utah and Arizona. Right. And what's his name is in prison for a particular years. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I watched the whole thing on that. Okay, so the lady, did you ever read Lady with the Red? That's okay. So Warren, not Warren Jeffs. Warren Jeffs is the guy who was in jail for that. That was a documentary. Right. Okay. So she's the sister of Warren Jeffs. No, Warren Jeffs went to prison for an underage girl. Her sister, Warren Jeffs' father, was somebody who had like 50 wives. One of his wives. He had a lot of wives. Yeah, Warren Jeffs had like 50 wives. All underage. No, some of them. Wives ran away. Was married by one. Something like Lady in the Red. She testified. Wherever she testified, she was. As a plain unlawful. Yeah, I'm allowed to. So when she escaped. Both ended up at Cruise Bay. Her sister ended up. Oh, she had an affair. Okay, so she ran away after her husband died. After the men and the boys. Hey. We're gonna have to talk to you more about that. He's tortured her. What? He's tortured her. Right. He did because he kept him. All these wives. His father, those are his. Because he's marrying them. Or some of them are sisters. So I'm going to try and do guns for something. I don't know. Afternoon is clear. I have things I could do. Yeah, right. I enjoy it. I have like a trial every other week between now and Ryan. Oh, really? Yeah, technically. How would you call because you need to know it? Except he has that thing with. Grandmother actually hosts. I had a dad. Not allowed to discuss. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She has a picture of the child as her. I had a dad. Only got this more time. So I'm gonna try and keep it just. If I can add, right, because you can all hear. I saw a video on. Not very. We're very strict about guns. I don't know. Yeah, he's going to be happy with it. Write it. Or put it down. Yeah. We're so bad. I just make sure I always have a. He doesn't care what's in the container. Something that I can put in. Because he hasn't even bring the water. There's better something as not. I'm here all day. I have to change. That's fine.
Clerk, we are back in our tenancy adjudication trial as to mother in JD 2022-62, matter of Brody and Ava DuPont, minor children. Assistant Attorney General Ms. Troop is back in court with us, as is Ms. Miller, BCS case investigator. Ms. Knisely with BCS has joined. Welcome, Ms. Knisely. Mr. Carbajal, ongoing case specialist, remains with us. Replacement for Brody is with us in court. Maternal grandmother and maternal great aunt, we use the children as the point of reference, are with us in court, as his mother, Ms. DuPont. Mr. Brown, attorney for children, is with us in court. On the phone, I'm checking to see if we have mom's attorney, Ms. McCann.
Yes, Your Honor. Janelle McCann, attorney for mother.
Excellent. Ms. Argenbright, father's attorney's on the phone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excellent. And Ms. Stoker, mom's sister, placement for Ava, is on the phone?
Yes.
Excellent. And I believe this department had finished its direct examination of Ms. Stoker. Mr. Brown, Cross?
Just a couple questions. Ms. Stoker, when you obtained Ava in your physical custody, did you ask for Lacey's help in trying to get legal authorization to do things like going to the doctor?
I did not ask Lacey. I went through my mom.
Okay, very good. And if you had legal authorization, Ava's Access insurance card, would you have taken her to the dentist sooner than you were ultimately able to do so?
Yes.
And do you have concerns about whether Lacey may be still using substances, or at least was using substances when you first got Ava in your custody?
Yes, I do.
And would one of the bases for that concern be that Lacey was not coming up to visit Ava or communicating regularly with Ava?
Yes.
Are there other bases that you can think of that might form a foundation for you having concerns about Lacey still using drugs?
No, other than what I have heard in court, the
Okay.
judge suspecting that she's under the influence.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Argenbright?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCann?
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, Ms. Stoker, if Mother had attempted to call or make contact with Eva, would you or the family would have stopped her in any way? No. Did Mother attempt to make contact at Thanksgiving? Not with me. Okay, were you aware of a Thanksgiving visit that was supposed to happen and didn't? I heard, yes, that there was talks of her coming and Brody coming, and so I heard that was a possibility. Okay, but you didn't witness whatever happened yourself, right? No, she didn't come. Okay. All right. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCann. Ms. Troop, redirect.
And Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stoker. You may step away from the virtual witness stand. Other witness, Ms. Troop.
Yes, I'd call Samantha Miller.
Ms. Miller, please, if you come forward, we'll place you under oath and invite you to make yourself comfortable in the witness stand chair. Madam Clerk, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please, Ms. Miller.
Please state your name for the record.
Samantha Miller,
Who are you employed by?
the Arizona Department of Child Safety.
What do you do for DCS?
I am a Department of Child Safety specialist. I am an investigator.
How long have you held that position?
Since November of 2021.
What is your college degree in?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice through the University of Phoenix.
What training do you have for your position?
I have the over 300 hours of the Department of Child Safety Core Specialist Training.
Were you the investigator for the DuPont case?
Yes, I was.
Did you first begin investigating the family on March 29th of 2022?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to meet with Brody?
Yes,
Where did you do that?
I met him at school.
And what were the allegations, general nature of the allegations in the hotline report?
There was concerns for mother's drug use and possible homelessness.
Where was Ava staying at the time?
With maternal grandmother,
Where was Brody staying?
with the Wolframs.
Do you know where Ms. DuPont was living at the time?
No,
Do you have contact with Ms. DuPont on April 1st, 2022?
I did,
How did you make contact with her?
over the phone.
What date was that again?
April 1st, 2022? So that was within 3 days of the beginning of the investigation.
Yes.
What did you ask her to do?
I wanted to meet with her so I could do my assessment. We had talked about the allegations, and she was willing to drug screen. She told me she just got a new job. She was very excited for the direction of her life.
Did she, in fact, ever complete a drug test for you?
No.
Was there an exchange of text between yourself and Ms. DuPont between March 1st and March 5th of 2022? April 5th, sorry. Between
Yes.
March 31st and April 5th.
Yes.
Why was there an exchange of text?
We were trying to coordinate a time to meet, and then she just stopped responding to me.
How long was it until you had contact with her?
September of 2022.
September 22nd?
Yes, I talked to her on the phone September 22nd, 2022.
What attempts did you make to contact Mother over that 5+ month period? And Judge, these are attempts are documented in Exhibits 4, 6, and 7.
Thank you.
I texted, called, emailed. I went to 2 different addresses that I had located that were potential addresses for her, with no response. And one of the addresses was not a valid address, and the other
Does that mean not a valid address?
I went to where it should be, and there was nothing.
Okay. How about the other address?
She was no longer living there.
You text her on April 7, April 19, April 25, June 30, and June 21.
Yes.
Attempt to call her on April 25th of 2022.
Yes.
Were you able to leave a voicemail for her?
I do not believe so.
You emailed her on June 30th, August 10th, and August 23rd.
Yes.
Can you estimate the total number of attempts you made to find Mother between April and August?
Like between 10 and 15.
Did you ever contact Brody's school again after you went to see him on this March 31st?
Yes, I would check in on Brody periodically, and Brody's school is very familiar with his situation, so they keep an eye on him. So we were like on first name basis. Like, he's doing well.
What do you mean when you say that the school is very familiar with this circumstance?
They just know that Brody resides mostly with the Wolframs. They've never made contact with Lacey. When they've tried, they said they'd have to get a hold of maternal grandmother, and within a few days, Lacey would call them. So they did not have direct communication with Lacey, and they did not have a current address.
You know who had taken on the responsibility of making sure that Brody attended school from April to September?
From April till September, I'm not entirely certain.
What's your understanding of where Brody lived during the school week?
It was my understanding he was residing the school week with the Wolframs, and then on the weekends wherever Lacey was residing.
Why did you become involved on September 22nd or 23rd of 2020?
I was trying to do follow-up. As I said, I had not made contact with Ms. DuPont. I had called Ms. Brown to see how Ava was doing because I had found out how Brody was doing. And Ms. Brown informed me that Ava was experiencing mouth pain, and they had no way legally or even an insurance card to attempt to remedy that situation.
So when you became involved in the case for the first time in March, I believe you testified that Ava was living with grandmother Cheryl Brown.
Correct.
Were you become aware of the fact that Ava had moved to Jamie Stoker's home?
Yes.
What did you do when you learned that Ava was experiencing mouth pain and had no insurance card?
I staffed with my supervisor. That's very concerning. Mouth pain is excruciating, and this is a child. So we determined that we needed to take temporary custody because we were not able to locate Mrs. DuPont or Mr. DuPont.
What attempts did you make in September to locate Ms.?
I had called the phone number that she had originally used, and then Brody told me what her new phone number was, and I was able to confirm with Wolfram that's the phone number that they were using. So I called her. Mr. Wolfram called her, and she did not call back until 7:15 that night.
This is September 23rd.
No, the 22nd, because we took custody of Brody at 2 p.m. on the 22nd. She didn't call me until 7:15 that night.
And tell us about that conversation.
She was upset, rightly so. She didn't understand what was going on. I asked her how long it took her to realize that Brody wasn't home, because I had him at 2 o'clock. She didn't call me until 7:15, so that's 5 hours. She said he usually comes home between 4 and 4:15. She didn't realize he was gone until 5:15, but still didn't call me for 2 hours.
And how would she know to call you?
I had called her, and I had texted her. Mr. Wolfram had called her. He may or may not have texted her. I can't remember. But I know for sure he tried calling her, tell her to get in touch with ECS.
Were you ever able to meet with Ms. DuPont in her home?
In her home? No.
Why not?
She originally wouldn't tell me where she lived. She was willing to meet me at the office in Sierra Vista. We met there.
What day was that?
On the 23rd.
Did she ever tell you where she lived?
Yes, she did provide me with an address.
And were you able to see her at that address or inspect that home?
No,
Why not?
Mrs. DuPont refused to speak to me after I took custody of her 2 children.
So have you spoken to her since September 23rd?
We had emailed at one point. She requested I email with her attorney attached, which I did, and she never responded.
What do you mean by emailing with her attorney attached?
She told me, I don't know if you know, but Mrs. Jones-Sacramento is my attorney, and you need to have her, CC'd, I guess, so that she can see our communication, which I was fine with doing, as you know, because I CC'd you as well.
And do you remember how many emails you sent that you copied the attorneys on?
I do not remember.
Did you ever get any responses to any of your emails from?
No.
Did you make separate referrals for hair strand testing and urinalysis testing from Ms. DuPont?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's Exhibit 8, Judge.
I'm sorry?
Exhibits, those are documented in Exhibit 8?
Thank you.
Why did you refer her for hair strand and urinalysis testing?
Because my observation of her on the 23rd was that she was under the influence of some substance.
Why? What was she showing you?
So she would move almost in unnatural ways. She had a hard time focusing. She would kind of look around and it was just abnormal behavior.
How did you communicate with her to let her know that you wanted her to participate in this drug test?
So I talked to her about it in April on the phone. Then I talked to her about it in person on the 23rd.
September.
And
Yeah.
yes, on the 23rd of September, I provided her a drug screen referral. I let her know, yes, that day on the 23rd of September, I let her know where it was. I gave her a week. No, it's a little shorter. I gave her time to complete the drug screen and told her she could go from that very moment down to the drug screening facility.
On September 23rd.
Yes, because she was adamant she was not using, and I said, well, this is a good way to prove that you're not using. Good way to show that you, and she never completed it, and then she said that I wouldn't give her another one, which was not another referral, which wasn't true. I had provided her another referral. I provided her multiple referrals.
How far a drive is it from your office to the lab that does the drug testing?
It's a 5-minute drive, if that.
What is AFF, or Arizona Families First?
It is a an organization that the department works with to assist parents with substance abuse to help themselves so that they can reunify with their children.
Does an AFF agency provide coordination of substance abuse services for parents?
Absolutely.
Substance abuse assessment or contract for that substance abuse assessment if they don't do it themselves?
Yes.
Did you make a referral to AFF for Ms. DuPont on September 28th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I was really concerned for her. I really believe that she's using illegal substances.
How do you believe that illegal substance abuse on her part affected her parenting?
The fact that when Brody was not staying with the Wolframs, like during the weekend, they weren't sure where he was going. It was almost like he was couch surfing with his mother. And there were concerns that he wasn't eating properly, mainly just snacking. So concerns that was there actual food in the home? Were there meals being prepared? Did he have access to meals? And the fact that the school could never get a hold of her is concerning. You would want to be able to get hold of the parents in case of an emergency. So there were just different factors that played into what was going on that made me concerned for her drug use.
Was the AFF referral assigned to Terrell?
Yes, it was.
That's Exhibit 9, Judge. Did the case manager from Terrell's make attempts to contact Ms. DuPont?
Yes. They had her current phone number and the address that she provided me as her current address.
Were they ever able to contact her in order to initiate service?
No, they were not.
Was Ms. DuPont closed out of AFF on October 2022?
Yes, she was.
Did you email her that day about the need to contact Terrell so that the case would not be closed out?
Yes, I did, and I CC'd her attorney and my attorney for her request.
Did she ever contact Terrell?
No, she did not.
Judge, that's documented in Exhibit 10. And those are the questions I have of Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Tripp. Mr. Brown?
Ms. Miller, you indicated that Mom had told you she was not using, she was clean, correct?
Correct.
And then you discussed with her, well, why not show us by doing the test, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did she give you any explanation for why she wouldn't do the test?
She told me she was concerned that it would be like a false positive. She didn't trust the testing facilities.
Okay. Did you have any involvement with the transportation process for Mom to see Ava?
At our PPC-PPH, I did say that the department would provide transportation.
There was some testimony earlier that Mom claimed she didn't know that there would be transportation available to her to see Ava. Would that be incorrect?
That would be incorrect, as she was present for the PPC when we discussed services.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Argenbright?
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. McCann?
Ms. Miller, first of all, you did have phone numbers for Mother, correct?
Yes.
And were you ever able to contact Mother between April and September on those phone numbers?
No.
Okay. You had an email for Mother.
No email.
You had an email.
Yes, I had an email address.
Okay. Were you ever able to get a response on that email?
No.
Okay. Did you text Mother?
Yes.
Any responses there?
No.
So the first time you spoke with her was April 1st of 2022, correct?
Yes.
And she offered to drug test, right? She was willing to do the UA or whatever?
Yes, she was.
And that never happened?
Correct.
And then the next time you spoke to her was on September 23rd, correct?
It was on September 22nd.
Okay. And then you met with her at the office on September 23rd, correct?
Correct.
And that was the day already that DCS had served a TCN notice, right?
We served a TCN on September 22nd for Brody.
Okay. Okay. So did Mother again say that she would test?
No.
Okay. Did you ever make a statement to her, something to the effect of, it doesn't matter if you test now because it's done or it's gone or something like that?
No, ma'am. I would never say anything like that. It's not accurate.
Okay. Right. Okay. You offered to have her do a UA and a hair follicle, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And she never did.
Correct.
Did you ever see, have you ever been into her home and seen her home?
No, ma'am. She would not speak with me.
Okay. And so you don't know what her home situation is, correct?
Correct.
You also, now she indicated to you some reservation because of she thought that the testing facility would give her a false positive. Would DCS have entertained a test if she had gone like to a primary care provider?
I'd have to staff that with my supervisor. I've never encountered a situation like that.
Okay. Did Mother ever indicate problems with transportation, problems with getting the calling number, anything that would indicate she had problems testing?
Not to me, ma'am. No.
Okay. Would DCS have provided transportation if Mother needed it?
Yes, we would have.
Okay. Likewise with the AFF referral, did she ever take them up on that?
No, ma'am. She never communicated with them.
Okay. And that ultimately was closed?
Yes, ma'am.
And DCS would have provided transportation or other assistance if she had provided you, or if she had said, I need transportation to the facility, right?
Yes, ma'am, we would have.
Okay. If Mother had engaged in her own substance abuse counseling and provided a release of information, would DCS have considered that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Mother was free to select services within the community that would have been compatible with what you guys were asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did Mother come forward to you and ever say anything about, I want to use my primary care provider, I want to use this counselor, anything along those lines?
No, she did not.
Okay. Are we still outstanding any type of your UA or hair follicle results?
She's never provided one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's still a missing piece of the puzzle, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And another missing piece of the puzzle that would be helpful in this case would be a substance abuse assessment out of Paros, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And we're still missing that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McCann. Ms. Troop, redirect.
I just want to clarify, you used initials PPH. What is
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Preliminary Protective Conference and the Preliminary Protective Hearing
And those occurred on October 3rd of this year,
of 2022.
2022. Thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you.
Other witness, Ms. Troop?
Yes, I call Shannon Knisley.
Ms. Knisley, please. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, for these proceedings to help you God, or please you affirm.
Thank you, Ms. Knisley. I invite you to make yourself comfortable in the witness chair. Ms. Troop, please.
Please state your name for the record.
Shannon Knisley,
Who are you employed by?
the Arizona Department of Child Safety.
What is your job?
My job, I'm in the investigations unit, so my job is to receive intake and assess families for safety of children.
Do you work with Ms. Miller?
Yes.
What is your education for that job?
I have a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology.
What is your training?
I have close to 400 hours in child safety training.
How long have you worked for the department?
A total of 4.5 years.
As part of your job duties, are you ever assigned to be the acting supervisor for the Sierra Vista DCS office?
I am.
What does that mean to be acting supervisor?
When I am acting, I keep an eye on intakes that we receive and assign them to the unit, and then I'm also support for the investigations unit. So that can include several things, and that is also supporting the staff at the front of the building.
Including parent aides who supervise visits.
That's correct.
Were you the acting supervisor on January 6th, 2023?
I was.
Approximately 6 days before this trial.
That's correct.
Did Ms. DuPont have a visit scheduled with Brody that day?
She did.
Did she come into the office for that visit?
Yes.
Were there any concerns about the visit?
Yes.
Who came to you and expressed concerns?
The parent aide that was doing the supervised visit.
And what is the name of that parent aide?
Misty.
Is Misty an employee of the department, or does she work for another agency?
She's an employee with the department.
What were the concerns that were raised with you?
The concerns were Lacey was appearing to be under the influence. Her behavior was very abnormal, and that particular visit, they were supposed to be doing a public visit. So the concern was taking Lacey and Brody out of the building.
When you say a public visit, you mean a visit in a public area, not in the office?
That's correct.
Was it fair to say that Misty was concerned that it would not be safe to have a visit outside of the office?
Correct.
Do you have any contact with Ms. DuPont when the visit was begin?
I did.
How did that take place?
I went to the visit room to do my own assessment on Lacey, and then I had asked Lacey to step into another room away from Brody to have a discussion with her about having that public visit and the concerns that we had for her to have the public visit with Brody.
Was that the first time you had met Ms. DuPont?
No.
When had you met her before January 6th?
I met her September 29th, 2022.
When you told or asked Ms. DuPont to step into another room, were you able to have a private conversation with her?
I was.
Did you observe any symptoms of substance abuse from this? I don't know how to say what preposition to use. Did you have any concerns about her behavior that made you think that she was high?
I did.
Tell us about that.
She was, wouldn't have eye contact with me. She was wearing a hat and keeping her head down. She was, very sway. Her body was swaying. She was very confused. Her mouth kind of had that, just like when people are under the influence, they kind of have this twitch in their mouth. It's very difficult to explain, but it was not normal behavior.
Was there any fidgeting going on?
Yes.
What parts of her body?
She was in her chair, just kind of, and I know people can't see me, but just kind of moving around in quick, movements.
Did you ask her whether or not she was under the influence of any substances?
I did not.
Did you have a conversation with her about being high?
I did.
Tell us about that.
I said, Lacey, you appear to be under the influence, so we are concerned about you having a public visit with Brody today. Are you okay with doing your visit in the office?
What was her response?
She was completely cooperative.
Did she then return to the visitation room?
Yep.
Did she speak to her son about why the visit was not going to take place in public?
She did.
What did she tell him?
She told Brody that and I don't know exactly how she said it, the department or we think that she is using drugs. Heroin was mentioned, but I'm not sure in what context. But I had told him because she is under the influence of drugs that they can't go to the park today.
You used the word heroin when you spoke to Ms. DuPont by herself in another room.
I did not.
You know what substance she was using that day?
I do not.
So, I'm a little confused. Did Ms. DuPont admit to Brody that she had been using drugs that day?
No.
Okay, so explain that a little.
She said, because they think I'm under the influence of drugs, we cannot go to the park.
Was there a reaction from Brody?
I did not. I don't know.
Was it appropriate for Ms. DuPont to tell Brody that?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's not, Brody doesn't need to know why we would tell her that he can't have a public visit. And based on Brody's behavior, it was very clear that he knew something was wrong with his mom as well. He would look at her just kind of concerned and a little confused. He was watching her movement. So to say that to him is just very inappropriate and disturbing for Brody.
If a parent is high and they tell the child they're not high, that gaslighting in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay, explain what gaslighting means to you.
When you are doing something and you convince somebody else that you're not.
And that leads the child to question whether his perceptions are accurate or not.
Correct.
Why is that damaging to a child?
Because it's confusing. I mean, it's just confusing. He is excited to see his mother and hoping that she's doing better so that he can go home to her. And when he observes that she's clearly not doing better, that's damaging to him. His belief is of his mom getting better for him to be in her care is, everything about that is just not okay emotionally for him. Which is why we have supervised visits.
You stated that you met with Ms. DuPont on September 29th. Is that right, of 2022?
That's correct.
What capacity? As an investigator, as acting supervisor?
As an acting supervisor, a little bit of both, I guess you could say.
Why did you meet with her then?
Samantha was supposed to be meeting her. She was coming into the office that day to go over a safety plan that she had generated, which is pretty standard for us when we take custody. And
I'm sorry, I believe the testimony of Ms. Miller was that she took custody on September 22nd, so this was approximately a week later.
yes.
Okay, so why are you going over a safety plan when the child's been moved?
So I'm not exactly sure, but I believe that it was because it was difficult to get a hold of Lacey. So the fact that she was coming into the office and Samantha had to go out on an emergency, she very urgently asked me to meet with Lacey to go over the safety plan.
Did you do that on September 29th?
Correct.
Do you have any reason to think that Ms. DuPont was under the influence of any substances on September 29th?
I did.
Why?
Again, her behavior. She also appeared very just like disoriented. Her clothes were very dirty. It looked as if maybe she had like wet herself. And she was just very confused. I was trying to go over the safety plan with her and she was not understanding or willing to hear me because she just wasn't able. She was confused about what was happening. So
Problems focusing?
very much so.
Problems concentrating?
I think so. Yes, they go hand in hand.
Thank you, that's all I had, John.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
When you met Mom for the visit with Brody on January 6th, and you advised Mom that she appeared to be under the influence. You said she was very cooperative with continuing the visit in the office.
That's correct.
Did she deny to you that she was under the influence?
She said, yes, she did.
Okay. Thank you. And one of the concerns with Mom telling Brody that it was DCS, that it was preventing them from meeting outside, would also be that she's pitting DCS against Mom as it relates to her relationship with Brody. Would that be a concern that you have as well?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm sorry? No more?
No more.
Thank you. Ms. Argenbright?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Nisley, at the visit on January 6th, did Brody tell you he was concerned about Mom's behavior?
No.
Did he tell you he was confused?
No.
Did he tell you he thought Mom was intoxicated?
Nope.
So you made an assumption about Brody's mental and emotional state, correct?
I don't believe it was an assumption. It was an observation.
And that observation was based on your thoughts and feelings, not Brody's, wasn't it?
Sure. Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Yes. In the future, Ms. Argenbright, for evidentiary hearings, unless you're in Ms. McCann's position, you need to be here in person. You reported at the commencement of this dependency adjudication you were here more to observe, and you are doing much more than that. Administrative orders from the presiding judge and the Supreme Court requires attorneys to be here in person if they can be. And to that point, Ms. McCann, I know you stated in our last court hearing that your mother was ill, and that, or your brother was, I'm sorry.
Brother, yes.
You might not be able to be here in person. Could you make a record for us today for that because you were on the phone?
Your Honor, I will. I was hoping that we could actually yesterday get ourselves down here, but he was still sick yesterday and still symptomatic this morning. So he is my driver. My mother is just too old to do it. She used to do it, but she's just too old. And so we just unfortunately have had to do it this way. It's not my preferred method, but I would just ask the court to waive appearance.
Yes, and we did in our previous court hearing make provisions for that. I just wanted to make sure that was in this record for the dependency adjudication. Thank you. Cross-examination of Ms. Nisley?
Your Honor, can I make a record? I'm actually out of the office today, working from home because I also am ill. If the court wants me to attend court when I'm ill, I can do that, but I would prefer not to expose others.
Of course not, Ms. Argenbright, but you need to let us know that so we don't draw the wrong conclusions. Thank you. Cross-examination, Ms. McCann?
Yes, please, Your Honor. First of all, Ms. Nisley, okay, so you first met Mother in person on September 23rd, right?
September 29th.
September 29th. And that's when you were going to go over the safety plan with her?
Correct.
Okay, and that's when you said that she appeared to be disheveled and not understanding and not able to focus on what you were telling her, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just going back, what is your experience in dealing with people who might be under the influence? Just briefly detail that.
So I have had to undergo several hours of substance use training. I actually did it with the police department in Phoenix to understand the behaviors that a person under the influence exhibits, and also their eyes, their pupils. So several hours of it, and in the field that I work in, I see it pretty frequently.
Okay. So it's both your training and experience. You were able to tell that mother was under the influence of something, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, with regards to the next meeting, when did you next see mother?
I met mother again on January 6th of this year, 2023.
Okay, and again, you observed signs that led you to believe she was under the influence, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and on both occasions, did you confront her with this?
Not on September 29th, 2022.
But on January 6th, you did?
That's correct.
Did she deny it to you?
Yes.
You have had the opportunity to observe mother as she's been in court today, correct?
Correct.
Is she demonstrating any behaviors there that would lead you to believe that she's under the influence of anything?
Yes.
What behaviors are you seeing?
Just like abnormal body movements.
Okay.
I'm not staring.
Anything else?
That's rude, but just from what I've briefly looked at.
Okay. All right. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect, Ms. True.
Thank you, Your Honor. Was there anything unusual about Ms. DuPont's pupils that you can remember from when you met with her on September 29, 2022?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
They were like very, very large. Pupils were really large.
And when you went through your training about substance abuse from the Sierra Vista Police Department, what did you learn about size of pupils?
The Phoenix Police Department.
I'm sorry, what did they tell you?
So different substances cause different sizes of your pupils, whether it's alcohol, methamphetamines, and marijuana. And when I took my training for learning about methamphetamines, fentanyl, and things like that, your pupils are large.
Did you notice anything unusual about Ms. DuPont's pupils on January 6, 2023?
Yes,
What did you observe?
that they were very, very large.
Have you had a chance to observe Ms. DuPont's pupils today? I know you don't want to stare at her.
I have not.
When you testified about Brody's reaction to his mother's statement during the January 6th visit when she told him the department thought she was high, you actually observing his physical reaction to his mother's statement?
His facial reactions, yes.
That's what led you to believe that he was concerned and confused.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Isley. You may step away.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I would next call Julio Carvajal Castillo, and I think we can at least get through direct examination between now and lunch. That's up to you, Judge, of course.
Carvajal, if you would come forward, please.
And Your Honor, I'm just going to put on the record that based on what was previously said, I'm going to be advising mother that she should not testify. Obviously, that can draw a negative inference. I will be speaking with her in further, but I do think that it is important to at least put that on the record.
Thank you, Ms. McCann. Madam Clerk, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carvajal. I invite you to make yourself comfortable. And counsel, other attendees, I want to stop before noon.
Sounds good, Judge.
It'll be about 5 minutes before noon.
And I think is this your first time testifying, Mr. Carvajal?
Yes, in the United States.
Just go ahead and start then.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Please state your name.
Julio Carvajal Castillo,
Who are you employed by?
Arizona Department of Child Safety.
What is your job there?
I'm a DCS specialist and case manager ongoing.
How long have you worked for the department?
6 months.
What did you do before you worked for the department?
I used to practice immigration law, international law, and human rights in Mexico as an attorney.
For how long?
2 years.
What is your education for that job?
Bachelor's in Mexican Legal Studies through the Autonomous University from Guerrero, which is my hometown.
How long have you been the case manager for the DuPont case?
Since October 7th, 2022.
Oh, and I'm sorry, what has your training been with the department?
300 hours of court training.
I heard October, but I didn't get the date.
October 7th.
Thank you.
Did you order a drug referral for Ms. DuPont on October 20 of 2022?
Yes.
Why?
Because of the information obtained through investigations, the department had concerns about she was using substance.
Did, and I'm referring here, Judge, to Exhibit 8, did Ms. Miller fill out referrals for Hairstrand and Random UAs and daily call-ins for UAs on August 11th of 2022?
Yes.
So was Mother, tell us about what daily call-ins mean.
Lacy DuPont is supposed to call every day to the PSI just to know if she is scheduled for the drug screening.
That referral for daily call-ins ever expire, or is it ongoing?
It expired.
When?
I don't know.
Okay. Did it exist for several months?
Yes.
Why did it expire?
Because she didn't attend to the drug screening.
She didn't call in
She didn't call it.
ever, and she didn't ever go in for any kind of drug test.
She didn't.
So is that part of the contract that the lab terminates the referral after a certain period of time of no calls?
Yes. After 3 missed calls, they canceled the referral.
Did Ms. Miller do another referral for Hairstrand and UA on October 23rd, 2022?
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yes, she did.
Excuse me. And again on September 22nd, 2022?
Yes.
And October 4th, 2022?
Yes.
On October 4th, did she also make a referral for a fentanyl screening UA?
Yes.
Why are fentanyl screenings separate requests?
Because it is needed to do it like individual test, because sometimes it could be false negative or false positive if it's under another drug screening.
So sometimes people use fentanyl, and if you don't ask for the right test, it doesn't show up in the
Yes.
UA. Okay. Did you request, and then I believe you testified that you requested Hairstrand and UA on October 20th,
Yes.
and a fentanyl UA,
Yes.
and an oxycodone UA.
Yes.
And you've heard the testimony of Ms. Brown earlier this morning that Mother seems to have had a problem with some kind of pills or medication prior to 2020.
Yes.
Did you ever have any conversations with Ms. DuPont about the fact that she was not doing any drug testing for the department?
Yes.
How many times?
Multiple times.
What did she respond?
She said that she was not drug testing because she didn't trust on DCS or in the drug test institution.
So she didn't thought that the lab would be biased in favor of DCS?
Yes.
Does DCS own the drug lab?
No.
Does the lab test only for the department, or do they test for other agencies as well?
They test for other agencies.
Are the lab test results conducted in an independent manner?
Yes.
Did you ever have a conversation with Ms. DuPont about her going to get drug testing from a lab of her choosing?
Yes.
How many times?
Since I got the case from my first visit, we were talking about so multiple times.
So you agreed to accept any drug testing of her choosing?
Yes.
Did she ever provide any drug testing?
No, she never provided.
Did she ever discuss prior fentanyl use with you?
I cannot remember what kind of substance. She said that she admitted she used a substance some years ago.
And did she tell you why or how she had gotten in the habit of using some kind of substance?
No.
Did she admit to any current drug use at any time?
Not any current.
I'm sorry?
No.
Are there concerns you have about mother's attitude when you speak to her?
Can you rephrase that?
Yes. When you've talked to mother multiple times over the month, correct? Does she,
Answer out loud.
I'm sorry, yes or no? You nodded your head.
Oh, yes.
Does she take responsibility, or has she ever taken responsibility for the fact that her children are under the custody of the state?
No.
Who does she blame for the fact that the children are not in her care?
Department of Child Safety and Contra Goldfarb.
Hunter Wolfram, the placement for Brody. Does she speak to you in a respectful manner?
Not always. Sometimes she has used bad words in our text messages.
Profanity?
Yes.
Is Ms. DuPont able to parent her children today?
Not today.
Why not?
Because she has admitted she has some mental issues that need to be addressed. And from my perspective as a DCS specialist, she's not ready to parent their child because she needs to attend their own emotional and psychological needs before being able to parent.
So she needs to take care of her own emotional and psychological needs before she can parent her children.
Yes.
Know if her emotional issues are based on drug use or not?
They're not. She was a victim of domestic violence. And from my education perspective and experience, their behaviors could be related to being a victim of domestic violence.
Has she admitted to you to being a victim of domestic violence?
Yes.
That's by Michael DuPont?
Yes.
Does she show any symptoms of PTSD?
Yes.
What are those?
Well, she has depression. She has this erratic behavior, and when she starts to talk about this situation, she starts to act abnormal and kind of have regressions on her age, acting like a child.
Is there a requirement from the psychologist the department contracts with if someone show they are clean and sober for a period of time before they can participate in a psychological evaluation?
Yes.
Has mother shown she's clean and sober so that you can arrange for that evaluation for her?
No.
The department offering the mother individual counseling,
Yes.
participating in that individual counseling?
No, yet. She recently told me that she is now willing to have those services.
So that's something new.
Yes.
The department going to provide her with those services?
Yes.
Is mother on access?
I don't understand.
Does she have insurance through the state?
Yes.
And is she able to go in and self-refer for counseling?
Yes, she is.
The department's offering family therapy between Ms. DuPont and her children when that's appropriate.
Yes.
The department offered her transportation to get to appointments or to see her children.
Yes.
utilizing the department's offer of transportation?
She is not.
Why is it that Ms. DuPont has not visited with her daughter, Ava, since DCS took custody on September 2nd? 22nd or 23rd of 2022?
She has failed to provide with anticipations in advance the dates when she's planning to go and visit Ava.
So she's visiting Brody.
Yes.
Brody is placed locally in the Sierra Vista area,
Yes.
within a half an hour of where Ms. DuPont lives.
Yes.
Is she consistently attending her visits with Brody?
She has missed a couple of visits, but she has done most of them.
She's not visited Ava.
She is not.
Has the department offered to arrange for transportation for Ms. DuPont to visit Ava in the Mesa area?
Yes.
Has Ms. DuPont taken advantage of that offer of transportation?
No.
You heard the testimony of Ms. Brown that she was told by Ms. Brown was told by Ms. DuPont that Ms. DuPont could not come up and see Ava because Ms. DuPont was on a waiting list for transportation. Do you hear that testimony?
Yes, I heard.
Is that accurate?
It is not.
How so?
The department needs to supervise all the visits between Lacey and Ava or Brody. So, because of the case manager, I'm placed here in Sierra Vista, we have to send a referral for a courtesy supervision. So for that, there's a wait list. So that's why she has to provide in advance when she's planning to go and visit Ava. In that way, we can arrange transportation and supervision for those visits.
So, is it fair to say that she's not on the wait list yet? Because she hasn't given you days and times when she can go visit.
Yes.
Is the department offering parent aid supervision and visits?
Yes.
Is the department offering a parenting class?
Yes.
Mother participating in the parenting?
She is not.
Have you ever been to the home where Ms. DuPont currently resides?
Yes.
How many times?
I'll say 5 times.
Is that home appropriate to have a child live in?
It is not.
What are the problems with that home?
It's not a safe environment. There's a lot of dogs in there, dog feces on there.
In the home or outside?
In the home. In the home. It's not clean enough, and it has not room enough to have the kids in the house.
Does Ms. DuPont live by herself, or does she have a roommate?
She has a roommate.
And so is there a bedroom that the children could sleep in?
It is only one bedroom in Miss DuPont's room, so there's not an extra bed for the children.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let's break for lunch and have everybody back by 1:25. Let's
Sure.
anticipate starting at 1:30.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
And Steve, are you going to lock up? Okay.
Yeah.
That means I can leave my stuff here? You almost got me going.
Am I able to hang up and call back?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty hungry. I think I'm actually gonna go something to eat. We don't have to talk about it. I don't have to get it. We're not supposed to.
Yeah, you have to work. Yeah, this burrito is good. You guys can work. Very interesting. Very interesting. haven't done about training. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know, that's Jack, Jack, no, all my stuff.
Well, no, he's saying.
I know, but I need this for me.
Oh.
No, we're just gonna, yeah. I don't know the answer to that, so let's ask him when we come back, and we'll know. Yeah, that's a good question.